from the steps of the Philadelphia Museum of Art, inside the NFL, with your hosts, Len Dawson, Nick Bonaconti, and Chris Collinsworth.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's show. And Chris, I see we have an empty chair over here.
Good.
Good, he says. You know, we're on the steps in front of Philadelphia's Museum of Art. These steps were made famous by actor Sly Stallone when he made some of those Rocky films. My question is, where is our Italian stallion?
I don't have any. Lenny, you got to see this.
Oh.
Da-da-da, da-da-da. Here he comes, the Italian stallion. Somebody call the paramedics. Get in here. What's
man, get in here. What's the matter with you?
Never again. I can never run those steps. I'm not going to do that again.
You couldn't run them again. Catch your breath, because I want to talk about these 1993 Philadelphia Eagles. They're making their own Rocky movie this year, only they're doing it with fact rather than fiction.
Well, these guys are street fighters with pride, an awful lot like the Rocky Balboa character. But let's talk defense, because that's what it's all about. These guys make you pay every time you touch the football. This Eagle defense is giving up 20 yards less per game than last year's defense, and that's without the likes of a Reggie White. But they have some heavyweights of their own, linebackers Joyner and Evans. These guys are the ones who are throwing the knockout punches.
Well, you can say what you want about that Rocky Balboa defense, but it's been the rope-a-dope style of Randall Cunningham that's made the difference. 3 times this year he's brought the Eagles off the canvas in the fourth quarter to come up with big wins. But he's had some help in that offensive line, especially at the key left tackle position. Broderick Thompson was unhappy in San Diego. He came over here, hasn't given up a sack yet. He's a big reason why Randall Cunningham has turned it around.
You guys are talking so much boxing. This is a football show, and let's get on with football. Coming up, we'll be talking to some of these high-flying Eagles, linebacker Seth Joyner, running back Herschel Walker, and head coach Rich Kotite. It was a bye week for Kotite's Eagles, but in the NFC this past week, there were 2 important division matchups. The Saints were opposing their primary mental block, the 49ers, and in Minnesota, the Packers, so far unspectacular, were trying to vanquish the Vikings.
Nothing like a big game. That's why Freddie came here, Coach. That's why we brought him here. Let him know the big game. What you say, guy? Good, good. So excitement in the Twin Cities.
Hey, this is great, isn't it?
Oh, you know, just like the old college rivalry.
I know, that's good, though.
A lot of excitement. Oh, yeah.
The NFC Central, home of good old-fashioned rivalries and some of the brightest young players in the game, like Packer quarterback Brett Favre.
Tackle.
Vikings coach Dennis Green knows that Favre could be a nemesis for a long time, and it didn't take long for Favre to show why.
Down for the Packers, and this time, dives over the top. Did he get the touchdown or not? Yes, touchdown. Brett Favre diving over the top, and he strikes the ball for the Packers, who have scored on.
It appeared that the process of elimination might give the Pack a win, because Green Bay proceeded to simply eliminate the potency of the Vikings offense. That wasn't altogether true. The Vikings were scoring some points thanks to 4 Fouad Rivet's field goals. Still, this was a game typical of the black and blue division. Few points, but lots of drama.
Such a division game, huh?
Okay. Oh, yeah. Every time.
Not time to hit one.
Every time.
Trailing by a point with time running out, Jim McMahon had a chance to play the masked marvel and deliver some last-minute heroics. He did in a series bizarre enough for a comic book.
4th down and 8 for the 19 for the Vikings. 59 seconds to play, and McMahon back to throw, rolls to his right, backs his arm, throws it, catch by Chris Carter. Carter at the 38-yard line. Gains 19. Viking first down. Oh, my Lord.
If we get to the 40, we got to get ready to try it. We're going to have it.
Here goes McMahon, 3rd down and 10 from midfield. 2 wideouts near side, wide to the far side. Back goes McMahon, rolls to his right, looking, throws a home run ball down to the... He's got a call by Gilliford. At the 5, he goes out of bounds. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. That's a blown coverage.
Hey! Let's go. This is unbelievable.
6 seconds left to play, setting up to a Fouad Rivet's field goal. Come on, Fouad, put it away, will you? Spotted, put it, picked up, and kicked off!
Right!
Oh, man. Vikings 50,
Vikings will need more than luck this week when they face the 49ers. In New Orleans, the 49ers mascot was mauled by an anthropomorphic dog. Whether that was a harbinger of things to come or just a gimmick for cheap laughs is open to debate. But there's no doubt that the Saints defense declared open season on Steve Young. In all, New Orleans recorded 6 sacks, but while Young was stopped, an old pro went the distance.
Now Ricky in motion to the right. And Logan on a counter. Breaks to the outside of the left. 15-10. 5 to the end zone. Touchdown 49ers. Mark Logan on a brilliantly executed play.
Logan's run had the Saints facing a grim future, but with Morton Anderson in tow, the Saints are rarely out of range.
10 seconds remaining. Score tied at 13. Here's the snap. Ball down. Kick is in the air. It's good! If you're looking for deja vu, whoa! There it is!
Morton Anderson has kicked 16 game winners in his career.
Anderson's 3rd career game winner against the 49ers keeps the Saints undefeated heading into an NFC West showdown against the Rams this week. Or is that a stare down? It seems the Rams are still prone to catatonic spells. And even when they do recover, the laughs are often still on them.
And Moon goes shotgun with White to his left, 2 receivers to either side, gets a snap, steps up in the pocket, throwing deep for Gibbons. He's behind the defense. 40, 30, they're not going to catch him. 20, 10, 5, touchdown, Ernest Gibbons. 80 yards.
Will you look at that? My, that brings back memories. That's just the way Bar and I used to dance after the Harvard-Yale game. Boola boola. And that whole
memories were the order of the day as Jim Everett rediscovered a scoring touch he hasn't displayed since Mr. Bush occupied the White House.
They sustain a drive and come up with a 4-yard scoring pass. Play action by Everett. Rolls out. Throws it on the run. Wide open. Complete. Travis McNeil at the 10. 5. Touchdown Rams. Oh, what a play action by Jim Everett. And he hits Travis McNeil with a touchdown pass. Everett rolls out to the right side. Throws on the run. That is caught by Henry Ellard at the 32-yard line. Breaks away at the 25, 20. Down the far sideline. The 10, the 5. Touchdown Rams.
The Rams' impressive victory evens their record at 2-2, while the Oilers have some reason to smile as they have a chance to regroup thanks to a bye this week.
Keith Jackson, Reggie White, and Keith Byers, among others, left Philadelphia as soon as they were declared free agents. Eagle Pro Bowl linebacker Seth Joyner becomes an unrestricted free agent after this season. Does he want his Philadelphia freedom? Seth Joyner talks with Chris.
All right, Lenny, thanks. Seth, appreciate you being here.
My pleasure, Chris.
There have been so many free agents that have already left Philadelphia, and at one time you said that Coach Rich Kotite was just a puppet for owner Norman Braman. Do you still feel that way, and does that mean you're going to be gone too at the end of the season?
Well, you know, there's enough for us to, have to deal with during the season. I addressed the media at the beginning of the season, and I told them that any questions they had pertaining to me staying or leaving, that I would answer those questions, after the season was over. I have to concentrate and stay focused on this season. There's nothing I can do about 94. But I can do something about 93, and that's what I'm concentrating on and focusing all my energies on right now.
All right. Well, the guy that left that got all the attention was Reggie White. And yet your defense statistically this year has been better. How do you explain it?
Well, I think a lot of teams have come in really taking us for granted. We still got good coverage people. We got good linebackers. Our defensive line is still coming into its own. But we still got good people, and we brought in some people that that have proven it and proven that they could get it done and have got it done over the past. And we plugged them in, and our defense, really hasn't missed a beat. We've got some injuries along the way, which has really kept us from being super effective. But I think once we get healthy and we get a little more time to play together, you're going to see even better things from this defense.
I think one of my big questions about the Philadelphia Eagles was how could this team emotionally handle the losses that occurred with the free agency during last season? What did Rich Kotite do to convince you guys that you could win this season?
Well, I don't think it's so much, you know, what anybody says or anybody a convincing job. I think it's just that, you know, yeah, everybody was upset about the situation in the off season and, you know, prior to the season. But you know, and you realize that, you know, once the season begins, if you don't get your butt in gear and get ready to play football, you know that you're going to get run out of the stadium every week. And I think that a lot of guys, there's too much pride on this team. There's too many guys that are leaders on this team, you know, that weren't going to let that happen. So, you know, you get yourself ready. Yeah, you're sore about what happened, but, you know, hey, life goes on. You know that players are going to come and go. That's the nature of the business, and you deal with it and you go on.
Well, this week you guys play another surprise team in the National Football League, the New York Jets, with perhaps the hottest quarterback in all of football in Boomer Esiason. How do you shut him down?
Well, you know, Boomer's always been a great quarterback, and he's doing an excellent job up there with the Jets right now. He does very good at audibilizing at the line, reading defenses, checking, and you know, we're just going to have to be on our toes. They got an excellent short passing game, which, you know, which is definitely a test for us, in the same way that Green Bay was. But we're going to have to try to take away his short passes and shut down the rushing attack. The last time we played them in preseason, they pretty much ran the ball at will where they wanted to. And I'm pretty sure that's going to be their game plan this game, is to come out and try to establish the run and then work the pass off the run.
All right, Seth. Well, thank you very much for being with us, and certainly best of luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
Lenny, back to you.
Thanks, Chris. Seth Joyner is a terrific football player. Reggie White is also a terrific football player. And the Eagles owner, Norman Braman, let Reggie go. Do you think Seth will go the same way?
Listen, I know Norman Braman. People may not like Norman Braman as a person, but one thing I know, he's a terrific businessman. He purposely stayed under the salary cap for next year for one purpose only, and that is to sign free agents like Seth Joyner. If Joyner comes in and makes reasonable demands, he'll be an Eagle. If not, he'll be gone.
I'll tell you one thing. People thought it was exciting with this new free agency. Wait till the salary cap kicks in next year. The early season shakeout continued this past week. In Chicago, where the Bears hosted the Bucs, it was a case of separating the bad from the ugly. In Detroit, it was a meeting of teams with hopeful possibilities.
Last Sunday in the Silverdome, the Lions had a new man at the helm. But Andre Ware's maiden voyage as starting quarterback this season didn't begin as a pleasure cruise. While the Cardinals' defense battered and bruised Ware, Steve Berline found navigating his team down the field to be much easier.
Roll out of that formation, winds up and goes deep on the near side to Pro.
Wide open.
He's got to the 10. He scores!
Berline, bootleg to the right. Berline in trouble. Now fires it to the end zone. Touchdown! What a catch!
Walter Reese scored his first career touchdown, and Phoenix held the lead at halftime. But after the break, Ware set out to prove he was a capable captain after all. Ware and the Lions made some big plays, and none was more surprising than the big play of number 31, Derek Moore. After scoring on a 1-yard run, it was the first rushing touchdown in 5 seasons by a Detroit back other than Barry Sanders. Moore's 48-yard trip downfield set up the Lions' go-ahead score.
10-yard line. Short drop right, looking left. Ware fires end zone. Touchdown, Lions! Brett Perry.
Brett Perryman's touchdown put Detroit up for good, and although Ware's status as starter is not assured, the Lions appear ready for their showdown this week with division rival Tampa Bay. The Bucs are struggling, and last Sunday against Chicago looked to get back on top of their game. Running back Neil Anderson was the one in top form, however, rushing for a touchdown and over 100 yards on the day. It was his best performance in 2 seasons, and Anderson seemed fully recovered from a preseason injury. In fact, the entire Bears team seemed to be rejuvenated, including quarterback Jim Harbaugh, who did some running of his own.
Knight goes in motion, I formation, backfield, Harbaugh rolling out right. A run pass out, he takes it himself to the end zone, touchdown! Boy, I tell you, that relieved a lot of pressure on that young man's shoulders.
In addition to his touchdown run, Harbaugh completed 17 of 22 passes for 192 yards and threw for 2 more scores. The Bears racked up 28 points in the second quarter alone, but the Bucks came up with the single most unlikely play of the first half.
Wide receivers to his right, dropping. Here comes pressure. Out of the pocket goes Erickson. Steps up and throws it long. Downfield, it's alley-oop time. Copeland jumps in the air. It's caught. Touchdown, Tampa Bay.
The Bears' defense came up with the biggest play of the second half.
The right side of the line, Erickson. Cox coughed up the football and scooped up on the play by Baker to the end zone. Touchdown, Chicago. Ron Cox with a blindside hit.
The Bears' first win was a rout, and this week they hope to be just as ungracious as hosts of the visiting Atlanta Falcons, who Monday night plan to be anything but welcoming to their guests, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Barry Foster, however, was ready to move in and make himself at home in the Georgia Dome. Foster's 30-yard touchdown run just 3 minutes into the game seemed to set the tone for the evening. But on the ensuing kickoff, the Falcons disrupted Pittsburgh's rhythm.
Well, Anderson's kickoff. High end over end. Tony Smith waiting in his 3-yard line up the middle. Tony to the 10, 15, outside to the 20, still going with blockers. Tony to the 40, Tony to the 50. It's one man to beat. Tony Smith to the 30. He's going to go. 10, 5, touchdown, 90.
Pittsburgh was taken by surprise, and even Barry Foster was thrown off balance.
O'Donnell hands off. There's Foster, trips and falls, and the ball popped loose. It's picked up by Roger, by the Falcons. This is Vinnie Clark to the 30, Vinnie to the 20. Vinnie's going to score. 10-5 touchdown. Vinnie Clark picked up the Barry Foster fumble. He goes down the near sideline for a touchdown.
For the Falcons, the celebration had begun, but the Steelers turned into party crashers, and Barry Foster turned in 2 more touchdowns.
Running left at the 5, breaks a tackle at the 2, at the 1, and he barrels in for a touchdown. Barry Foster.
The Steelers dominated the rest of the game, scoring 28 unanswered points on offense. Pittsburgh's defense capped off the scoring in the fourth quarter.
Short drop. Green's got him again. The ball's loose. Picked up by the Steelers. 10-5. Kenny Davidson scores a touchdown.
The Steelers can revel in their win another week because they have a bye, while Jerry Glanville and the Falcons have no time to look back at their 4 straight losses because Chicago is hoping to hand them their 5th. Coming up, Eagles head coach Rich Kotite and a look at Philadelphia's next opponent. Highlights of the Jets' impressive victory.
This week, the Eagles make a short trip to the New Jersey Meadowlands for a game against the ever-improving New York Jets. And, Chris, I can understand why they're doing so well when you look at Boomer Esiason and the great year he's having so far.
Yeah, and I couldn't be happier for the success of Boomer Esiason. This offseason, he went through every parent's nightmare when his son Gunnar was diagnosed with cystic fibrosis. But in a strange sort of way, I think it's almost helped Boomer. You know, when you watch a little guy like that go through the daily treatments and have to suffer along with him, how could you ever feel the same pressure that you once felt on the football field? And I think it's paying off for Boomer. He looks more confident, more relaxed on the field, and has been playing better so far this season. His fundamentals have been a lot better because of the fact that Bruce Coslett, his old coach, is back with him again. Boomer's the reason I like the New York Jets this weekend.
Well, no one should have to go through what Boomer's going through with his son. But he is the best play-action passer in the National Football League, which brings me to a point. He is totally dependent on the running game of the Jets. Baxter and Johnson, that's the key for the Jets. If I'm the Philadelphia Eagles, my priority is to stop the running game. Make Boomer come up less than 4 yards on first down on a rushing play. Make him drop back and beat you coming out of the pocket. If you have him in the pocket, you will beat the Jets.
You know, both of these teams have the same problem. The quarterbacks on the opposing teams really having a great year. Boomer Esiason, 72% of his passes, and Randall Cunningham about 68%. Right. They're both maintaining possession of the football. The Eagles are ranked 3rd. The Jets are ranked 4th. I think it's going to come down to first down. The team that does the best job of stopping the opposition on first down is going to win this game, and I think the Eagles will do that.
Well, I disagree. I think it's going to be the Jets. Jeff Lageman has won 2 game balls playing defense for the Jets and are in their 2 wins. I think the vulnerability for the Eagles is play-action passes. Look at last year's game against Kansas City. They killed them with the play-action pass. I think the Jets win this game.
Need to say it's going to be a great game. So the Eagles are having, if not yet the last laugh, at least an early season chuckle at all those critics who predicted they were headed for nothing but misery this season. But as Brian Burwell tells us in this week's cover story, the moves toward this year's strong start began in the aftermath of Philadelphia's disappointment in last season's playoffs.
By any normal standard, 1992 was a good year for the Philadelphia Eagles. They not only made the playoffs, but they won a postseason game for the first time in more than a decade. But those Eagles were up against the old bugaboo that Charles Dickens once defined as great expectations. Last season was supposed to be their Super Bowl year. And when they were hammered by Dallas in the next playoff round, owner Norman Braman began to have second thoughts about his veteran team.
The team reaches a certain level. And if you stay too long at that level, you begin a precipitous drop down, and what I call the valley of death in sports. And it takes years to climb out of that valley.
But critics claim that Braman pursued a course that would only plunge the team deeper into that valley of death. When the new wave of free agency swept through Philadelphia, 11 players chose to ride it out of town to other teams. And all those flights from the Eagle Nest, especially that of All-Pro defensive leader Reggie White, did not sit well with the veterans left behind.
I was sitting in Hawaii looking at the transactions thinking, we're losing all these players and we're not signing anybody. And I'm thinking, do they really want to win, or do they want to, be like the San Diego Padres and cut the payroll?
In fairness, the Eagles did sign a few free agents of their own, but that was not enough to silence the critics. The main target of their wrath was Braman, and the team's general manager just doesn't think that's fair.
There have been times when I've said to my wife, it's too bad some of the things that I'm doing, Norman's getting wrapped for, especially contract time and things of that type, because that's my bailiwick.
But Braman himself doesn't complain about the criticism because he knows it comes with the territory.
I've never been an individual who wets his finger, holds it up high, and feels the way the wind blows. It's not my style of management. If you're going to get into a business, you better be prepared to accept the heat. And I'm prepared to accept that heat. I always have been since 1985.
That was the year Braman bought the Eagles, but when he joined the ranks of NFL owners, he didn't exactly give up his day job. The crown jewels in his business empire are the latest models on display in his opulent showrooms. Here in Miami, Norman Braman is known glowingly as the Baron of Biscayne Boulevard, but back in Philadelphia, his critics refer to him as Bottom Line Braman. The assumption being that he regards his players the same way he does his fleet of ultra-luxury autos, as pure commodities where the only thing that matters is the profit margin. Among Eagle players, gripes go beyond questions of salaries and the reluctance to play the free agency game. Braman, they claim, is a bit stingy about little things, like shoes.
You get one pair of turf shoes, you get one pair of grass shoes, and that's it. I mean, we got more in my university than we did coming here to the pros. You definitely got to get a shoe contract or you're going to get no shoes.
With those distractions and all the turmoil caused by free agents who flew the coop, how on earth did the Eagles manage to open the season by soaring to 3 straight victories?
I think the difference was Randall. He stepped in and he played a big part in our 3, wins. He's a leader out there. He's a great part in our success.
I think maybe started, in training camps. There's a lot of, even guys are a little older, there's still a lot of pride going on with this team. And I don't know, maybe came over a few beers in training camp saying, well, we're going to do this, I'm going to do this, and we're going to do this.
This team is a tough football team mentally because it's in a tough town. If you can play in Philly and play well and win in Philly, you can play anywhere. Now, I didn't think that 3-4 years ago when I'm from New York. But I think that New York is the JV compared to Philly.
This season could end up as Rich Kotite's greatest achievement if, after losing 11 free agents, he takes the Eagles to postseason play. Nick is with the coach now.
Thank you, Lenny. Rich, congratulations, 3-0 early in the season, I know that. But I want to ask you something about your owner, Norman Braman. I think it's been well chronicled that the players and some of the fans just don't have a lot of respect for Norman. I know that he was involved in the financial decisions not to sign your free agents. Has this been a distraction for you as a coach?
No, it hasn't. But, you know, I think that's all blown out of proportion. In the 2 years that I've been the head coach, he's never said no to me. We offered a couple of our players who went somewhere else more money, but they wanted to go someplace else. One wanted to play on grass. The other wanted to be a running back instead of a tight end. So those things, I think, they linger, but I don't, it's really not valid.
You know what's interesting? Seth Joyner said that the players who remained on this team are closer than the team last year. How do you react to that?
Well, I think they are, and I think they like the people that are playing with them, the new players. I think that they're professionals, the chemistry is good, and they're concentrating on 1993 being the best year they ever had.
You're an old boxer. You used to box and have a lot of fun with it. If you had to describe this Philadelphia Eagle team in terms of boxing, how would you describe them?
They go the full 12 or 15 rounds. You know, the last 2 games we played, we won in the last seconds. They play for 60 minutes, 4 quarters. They don't get down, and they come to play every week.
Who, in your mind, on the defense is really the motivating leader on that team?
Well, I think it's 2 of them, really. I think it's Joyner and I think it's Evans. There are other great players, but our linebackers, I think, are second to none, and I think they're the strength of our defense.
Zeke Bratkowski, I know last year he was your offensive coach. Now you made him the offensive coordinator this year. What has he meant to Randall Cunningham? Is this something that you thought through because you wanted to make Randall happier?
Well, I think that they get along real well. They respect each other. I think Zeke's doing a great job with Randall. Randall seems to be the more complete player right now. It's his 2nd year after a major operation. He's doing things real well. I just hope it continues.
You go back to New York this week. You were an assistant coach there with the Jets for many, many years. You have a lot of friendships. What are your thoughts going into this game?
Well, first of all, it's game number 4. It's very important to us. They're a much improved football team. They have, I think, in all 3 areas are very strong, and that's more important than anything. You know, I worked for Mr. Hess for 7 years. He's a great friend, a great person, but all we're concerned about is the Eagles. We want to get to 4 wins and just keep on going.
Rich, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good luck the rest of the year.
Appreciate it.
Back to you, Lenny.
Thanks, men. Chris, you know, this place is known as the city of brotherly love.
Right.
It's also the city that booed Santa Claus. And I think it's tough for coaches. I think Rich Kotite gets more respect outside of Philadelphia.
Yeah, but he gets plenty of respect from me. Just look at his record. 2 years ago, they won 10 football games without Randall Cunningham. Last season, they won 11 and their first playoff game since 1980. And so far this season, despite losing all those free agents, they're 3-0. I think he's one of the most underrated football coaches in the NFL.
I absolutely agree with you. Well, speaking of Rich Kotite and his staff, they're working on ways to stop the rejuvenated Jets. Now, looking at New England's game plan this past week won't help because Bill Parcells and his Patriots didn't have any answers.
Sunday night, the familiar figure of Bill Parcells was back in the familiar surroundings of the Meadowlands, site of his glory years with the Giants. But his new team, the Patriots, did nothing to rekindle championship memories. Parcells' Patriots were shut out through 3 quarters and could do nothing to shut down the Jets' Boomer Esiason.
Esiason back, looking right, now looks down the middle, throws down the middle, caught, touchdown, Thornton! A bullet pass to James Thornton.
In the first half, Esiason was a perfect 12 of 12 passing, and the Jets scored touchdowns on each of their first 5 possessions.
Here's the handoff coming around the left side. Mathis, 20-yard line, 10-yard line, 5-yard line. He's there. Touchdown! Wow. And Randall Cunningham and the Philadelphia Eagles looking in tonight and wondering, what are we going to face next week here at the Meadowlands?
The Eagles may indeed have their hands full this Sunday with a balanced Jets attack that moved the ball at will against the Patriots.
Nice handoff goes to Burrell, 30-yard line, 25-yard line, 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown! Adrian Burrell racing on the right side, takes it all the way.
After dealing Parcells the worst loss of his professional coaching career, Boomer and the Jets can expect a bigger test from the Eagles this Sunday. In Cincinnati, Boomer's old job and number now belong to second-year man David Klingler. Thus far in 1993, it's been an uphill struggle for Klingler and the Bengals. And it was an opportunistic Seahawks defense that had the young quarterback's number last Sunday. Eugene Robinson's interception typified a bleak afternoon for Klingler, who was benched in the second half. Meanwhile, his young counterpart, Seattle rookie Rick Mirer, was still experimenting with all kinds of new ways to complete a pass in the NFL. Meyer's pinball completion found an unlikely target in 300-pound tackle Ray Roberts. And while Roberts was a load to bring down, even Meyer's lightweight receivers like Brian Blades absorbed the Bengals' heaviest blows. But despite moving the chains, Seattle's offense never reached the end zone. In fact, neither team scored a touchdown until Bengal backup Jay Schrader directed an 85-yard fourth-quarter drive that ended in a scoring strike to Carl Pickens.
Fires over the middle. Carl Pickens! Touchdown, Cincinnati!
Pickens' touchdown put Cincinnati ahead 10-9, but as has been the case all season, the Bengals were cursed with bad luck and bad timing. And with less than 5 minutes to play, they let the game slip away in their own end zone.
The hand comes to Harold Green, and he is tackled in the end zone. He fumbles the football, and the Seahawks have it for a touchdown. Wow! I don't believe that. I don't believe what I just saw. I do not believe what I just saw. That defies description.
And the Seahawks are defying some experts. They're now 2-2, heading into a divisional showdown with the Chargers this Sunday.
Well, it's time for our inside information segment of the program. Our own Gary Myers is here. And Gary, we're in the city of brotherly love, and really the big story has been the owner, Norman Braman. Last season, he allowed 11 free agents to walk. This year, he has a couple more that he has to get signed. Clyde Simmons and Seth Joyner. Will they be here next year?
Well, Chris, Norman Braman, the owner, told me that he definitely wants to bring back Simmons and Joyner next year, and both players know the Eagles definitely want them back. Now the question is, do they want to come back? They said this week they're very open-minded about coming back to Philadelphia next season. Their agent, Jim Solano, said if the Eagles were to approach them right now, they're very interested in talking about a contract extension. Simmons and Joyner will probably be the two best defensive players on the free agent market next year. And even though there's going to be a salary cap, these guys will get their money.
Well, the other story in Philadelphia has been the play of Randall Cunningham. So much better than a season ago. We've all given our reasons why he's been better. Why do you think?
Well, I think there's a few things. First is, in the offseason, Kotite did a very smart thing, elevating Zeke Bratkowski to offensive coordinator. Last year, there was a lot of friction between Kotite and Cunningham, especially after he benched him for a game in Dallas. You know, another thing that Kotite says is that the second year back after a major knee operation like Cunningham has is when a player really returns to form. And after 3 games, Chris, I think he might be right.
And Jim McMahon left during the offseason. Was that a factor?
I think that was a big factor because Cunningham knew after what happened last year that Kotite would not hesitate to bring McMahon in when there was a problem. Also, Cunningham knew that a lot of players on the Eagles thought McMahon should be playing. So I think he's a lot more comfortable with Bubby Brister as his backup.
Well, the guy that originally brought Jim McMahon here to Philadelphia is Buddy Ryan, and I understand he is still making news here.
Well, this latest incident really started in training camp after some of the Eagles left as free agents, saying it's a shame that Norman Braman was breaking up that team because they were on the verge of greatness. Kotite said, what are they talking about? Those Buddy Ryan teams never even won a playoff game.
I'll bet you Buddy loved that.
Well, Buddy took that opportunity to rip Kotite, saying in 1990 when he had him as his offensive coordinator that Kotite didn't even call the plays. He said he was a non-entity and did not have a great work ethic.
All right, now it's getting good. What did Rich say about all that?
Well, of course, we had to take that back to Kotite to see what he was going to say. And he said he called every play in 1990, and the Eagles' offense moved up to 3rd in the league. He doesn't really want to get into it with Ryan at this point, but he said that he thinks Buddy should just be worrying about the Oilers' defense.
All right, well, a man that has plenty to worry about is Sam Wyche with Tampa Bay. And perhaps his biggest concern has to be his tackle, Paul Gruber. He remains a holdout. What does he have to gain by holding out for this long?
Well, at this point, Gruber says the main thing is he just doesn't want to play in Tampa anymore. He's really hopeful by October 19th, which is the trading deadline, that the Bucs will deal him. The problem is the Bucs want 2 #1 draft picks, which is a big price, and any team trading for him would also have to satisfy Gruber, and he wants over $2.5 million a year. If nothing happens the rest of the season and the Bucs make Gruber the franchise player again next year, Gruber said he would accept a qualifying offer, which would be about $2.6 million a year, but he wouldn't report until the day before the season opener.
So it's not so much the money, it's just he's mad and he wants out.
He wants out. He doesn't want to play there anymore.
All right, Gary. Well, we'll see you in the pick segment.
Okay, Chris.
Lenny, back to you.
Chris and Gary, thank you very much. The Eagles are among 3 NFC teams still unbeaten. This past week, the AFC's remaining unbeatens, the Bills and the Browns, faced tests against worthy opponents, and as it happened, each failed.
There's nothing like the heated Bills-Dolphins rivalry to bring out the best in Buffalo fans. Not all fans, however, fit the Bills' macho stereotype.
True blue Bills fan, all the way, Buffalo. We'll kill the Dolphins. Squish those fish.
I got a nice big old fish here. We're going to stick it on the grill and smoke it. We're going to smoke it. It's going to burn.
On this gloomy day, Bills followers had other fish to fry, for their focus was fixed on Dolphin linebacker Brian Cox, who all week had been denigrating the good citizens of Western New York. His trash talking was designed to give his teammates an emotional edge, as well as bait the home crowd.
Keep yapping, Cox! Keep yapping while you're on your back! You got hell here today.
But this matchup is hardly one player's purgatory. It's the fiercest rivalry in the AFC.
This is why you want to be in the NFL, to play in games like today. Fierce, hard-hitting, a lot of contact. Put the women and children to bed early, because it's going to be dangerous out here. That's the thing that we have to do now. We got to make our own fire, baby. We got to make our own fire. We got to hang together, support each other. When they make a play, just hang in there, and then we make the plays to win the football game. Let's do it, baby. Our day. Let's go.
On the game's second play, number 51 rose to the occasion, beating one blocker and shoving aside another to sack Jim Kelly.
Brian Cox is in on top of him, and he's beside himself. He starts jumping up and down. The fans get all over him.
Cox set the tone for the Dolphin defense. Dan Marino did the same for the Miami offense.
The rain comes in harder. Marino lets it fly long. A man is there, and it's Fryer at the 10, at the 5, and he's in for the touchdown. He was wide open.
Great protection. That enabled him to throw that ball down there. Let's go. Good job.
Miami took control from the start, scoring on each of its first 4 offensive series. It included an unusual wrinkle from their not-so-fleet veteran quarterback.
For the corner, touchdown. He is in for the score. Dan Marino has climaxed another Miami.
Hell of a job, Bo. Hell of a job. Way to go, Big O. Way to go.
Miami 16.
That's the best one I've seen in a while. That's a great hell of a job.
While the offense controlled the ball, owning the clock for a whopping 39 minutes, the defense teed off on the Bills. Jim Kelly was intercepted twice and sacked thrice, including number 90 Marco Coleman's mismatch on Thurman Thomas.
Hey, baby. Hey, baby, that's where to play some ball. That's where to play some ball.
Late in the first half, Buffalo's Steve Christie struck a blow with the 3rd longest field goal in NFL history.
59-yard try. The kick is on the way, and it is good. He made it. You believe that? It ain't over.
But it was over, with the exception of the Bills' too little, too late touchdown in the final quarter. It was the only one surrendered by the Dolphin defense all afternoon.
Dropping back, looking, throws, and is caught there by Brooks at the 10, down to the 5, in for the touchdown.
Though Bills fans celebrated the score, Miami had decisively prevailed, and despite the infantile behavior of one of their players, had the last laugh. Brian Cox had backed up his brag with 5 tackles, 1 deflection, and a sack, and though he obviously has nothing against Bills players, still holds a grudge with their fans.
Were you just kidding what you said about Buffalo, city of Buffalo?
Hell no. Hell no. That ain't gonna change. Even when I die, that's not gonna change. And I don't kid about stuff like that. I'm a man, and I say what I feel.
Cox was clearly steamed, but it was the Indianapolis Colts who provided the heat in their game with the Cleveland Browns. Starting quarterback Jack Trudeau had the visitors back on their heels from the outset. But the key to this victory was clearly the Colts' underrated defense. Vinny Testaverde started the second half, but provided no relief. Fittingly, it was Indy's swarming blue-shirted D, which iced the game with a minute left.
After Testaverde, he's hit, and he goes, he loses the ball, down to the goal line, the Colts fall on it for a touchdown.
The surprising Colts are in a 4-way tie for their division lead and meet the Broncos this week in Denver. Ahead, former Eagle Harold Carmichael in our Where Are They Now feature, and Boomer Esiason telling us about Daddy Day in the Player Diary.
At 31, Herschel Walker is one of the oldest running backs in the NFL. But last season, he cracked the 1,000-yard barrier for the first time since 1988, and he's still contributing. Nick is with Herschel now.
Okay, Lenny. Herschel, you've always been the main man, whether it was the USFL, Dallas, Minnesota. Now here with Philadelphia, you're like one of 45 stories. You've got Hebron and Sherman carrying the load at the running back. How does it feel just to be Herschel Walker?
Well, it's different. You know, last year having a semi-good year, you know, going over 1,000 yards, and then just going into camp thinking I'm going to give an opportunity to, you know, to run the ball, to do the things that I'm capable of doing, and now, you know, being changed to do just about everything, you know, without anyone saying anything, just say, okay, do this, do that, you can do this here. So, you know, it's very tough to visualize sometimes.
Everybody talks about the defense, but I want to talk a little bit about a couple offensive tackles that you have, Antoine Davis and Broderick Thompson. These guys have done a terrific job making that running game go, haven't they?
That's no doubt they have. You know, you got guys over 300 pounds that are just blowing people off the ball, and guys that are running down the field. You know, these guys here are not just blocking guys at the line. They're running down the field, and, you know, that helps out a great deal in that running game. You know, it helps both everything.
As your career maybe coming to an end as a running back, someone told me that you would make an ideal tight end. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think I can make an idea anything if I want to do it. You know, I've been saying I want to play linebacker, put me on the defense a little bit. You know, right now they got me, I wanted to play on special teams. You know, they took me off kickoff return, and now I'm on the punt, so I'm running down trying to make tackles. So one thing that I've said is I want to play a little bit of linebacker. I think I can play that a little bit.
Randall Cunningham this year, I mean, every year you wonder what Randall Cunningham was going to show up for the game. It looks like he's matured a little.
I think he have. I think because they've given him a good cast to go out and play with. You know, they've given him an offensive line, which means a great deal to a quarterback. You know, if a quarterback cannot drop back in the pocket and have time to throw the ball, it's going to be very difficult for him. But now they've given him that offensive line that can protect him, that he can stand in the pocket. They've also given him the receivers with Calvin and Fred, and now the running backs. And I think because he's got that cast to go out on the field with now, he can stand back and play quarterback.
We talked a little bit earlier. You said that the players on this team, if Randall's not doing something right, they're not afraid to go up and tell him.
Yeah, I think that's the key. And, you know, I've told Randall that the same thing. Players not afraid to go up to Randall, hey, you got to do this here. Look at me here. I'm doing this here. And, you know, and Randall, I've told him how I said, hey, if I'm doing something wrong, get on my case. because right now we're here to win a championship. We've, you know, 3-0 is fine, but we got 13 more to go. And I think the only way we're going to get there if everyone get on everyone's case if you're not doing something right. You know, because if you're going to be a leader, I think you got to be a leader all the time, not just some of the time, but all the time.
Herschel, with an attitude like that, you guys can very easily get to a championship. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Back to you, Lenny.
Thanks, Nick. Herschel Walker, what a class guy, and what a tremendous attitude he has. He said, I'll do anything you ask me to do. Linebacker, cover kicks, just so we win.
You know, I thought that was really an interesting interview from the standpoint. Sounds like there's a transition now in the leadership on that team. I think that Keith Byers and Keith Jackson may have let Randall Cunningham kind of get away with whatever he wanted, but now guys like Calvin Williams and Fred Barnett, they're getting in his face. Maybe that's why he's playing better.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, it is teamwork, and good teamwork never goes out of style. Well, from this Eagle era, let's step back to another. You know, every quarterback needs a go-to guy, a receiver he can count on. The Eagles had such a player. Philadelphia's Mr. Dependable, Harold Carmichael.
Do what somebody asks you to do better than anybody else can do it.
Harold Carmichael's motto as a player was a simple one. In fact, it's the same philosophy he follows today. At 6 feet 8 inches, Carmichael quickly rose above the crowd to become one of the best wide receivers in the National Football League during the 70s and early 80s. Named All-Pro 3 times, Harold still ranks as the Philadelphia Eagles' all-time leader in receptions, receiving yards, and touchdown catches. He is probably best remembered, though, for catching passes in 127 consecutive games.
I didn't think I was doing my job when I didn't catch 2, 3, 4, 5 balls, you know. And they're saying, boy, you caught a pass? I said, well, that's what I was paid for, to catch those balls.
These days, Carmichael applies the same workmanlike diligence to his job that he did as a player. He's the owner of a 3-year-old steel supply company near Philadelphia, Harold Carmichael and Associates. They bid against other companies to provide the raw materials for buildings designed throughout the East Coast.
My company is a very small company. We have some large companies that really don't care for us that much because we've competed against them, and some of them we've beat out on some contracts.
That's one. There you go.
We work very hard in what we're doing, and I surround myself with some good people. I surround myself with people that want to be the best also, and that's what we really pride ourselves in.
Carmichael has found that opponents in the steel industry are just as competitive as those he faced on the playing field.
It was physical with the linebacker and defensive back. Now it's mental. Now I got to work hard and try to overcome these obstacles that they're throwing in front of me, and I will, whatever it takes.
In addition to his company, Harold also works part-time for Resorts International, hosting high rollers in the Bahamas. At home, Harold values a quiet life with his wife Bea and son Lee. He likes relaxing with his family and still enjoys a friendly game of catch.
Yes! Yes! Hold on! Yes!
But as he did as a player, Harold feels the need to lead by example in the office.
In my business, you know, if I'm a failure, I want to be that failure. I don't want anybody to make me fail. I want to control my destinies. If anything goes wrong, it's going to be me. And I want to be able to make it right or make it wrong.
Making it right wasn't hard for Harold as a player, and it shouldn't be today. Like he says, he'll just keep on doing what somebody asks him to do better than anyone else can do it.
As we saw, Harold Carmichael now has time to enjoy his family. But during a player's career, though there may be quality time, there's certainly not much of it. That's why on Tuesday, when most teams are off, Daddy is expected to leave football at the office. Boomer Esiason tells us more in this week's Player Diary.
Hi, here we are once again at the old Esiason construction site to give you a unique perspective to a phenomena that takes place every Monday night in our household. Much like our team meetings on Saturday night before game day, we have a meeting Monday night to go over what we're going to do on Tuesday, my day off, which becomes Daddy Day. So come on in with me and I'll show you just what I'm talking about. Okay, now listen, kids, we have 8:30 bed check tonight. I want those diapers dry, I want the lights off, and I want you guys down and quiet. Don't bother each other. 7 a.m., wake-up call. We'll get the diapers again. We have breakfast. Then we have toys, playtime, reading stories, and at 12:30 p.m. we have lunch. And after lunch, you guys go down for a nap. Okay, when you wake up, we got strength and conditioning, and then from there we'll go right into dinner. After dinner to bath time to story time, right to bedtime. And we'll start all over again for the next day, okay? How's that sound? Miss? Sydney? Hey, how does that sound, okay? No. Suddenly, the silence was broken by the sound of bouncing springs. Right here. Yeah. Get him, Sydney, get him. Hit Daddy G. Baby massages. Here's Sydney. We almost have a finished baby. Almost have a finished baby. Yes, we do. No, that's okay. That's okay. You okay? Well, there you have it. Daddy Day in the NFL. We read, we played, we ate some more, and we played some more. And, you know, quite frankly, I'm kind of looking forward to that Eagle defense on Sunday.
Boomer, I'm sure when your children chase after you, when they catch you, they give you a big hug and a kiss. But gentlemen, when Seth Joyner chases after him on Sunday, what do you think he wants to do to him?
A forearm in the knee.
And a big kiss.
Yeah, a real big kiss. All right, let's go and find out what happened last week in our pick selection. We see that Chris Collinsworth is on top.
Boy, that's
Woo,
an accident.
he
Another
is on a roll. And for the year, Chris, you jumped all the way up to last place.
Tied with you, yeah.
All right. Earlier in the show, we picked the Eagles in the Jets game, and Gary, by the way, he selected the Jets. Now it's time for us to make the rest of our weekly selections. First, the ones that we agree on. Chicago will defeat the winless Falcons. Detroit will beat the winless Buccaneers. Dallas will take care of Green Bay. It'll be Denver over Indianapolis. And now for the rest of the games in more detail. San Diego is going to Seattle. Chris, since you're on a roll last week, go ahead.
I am feeling it now. Seattle's defense, the last time these two teams played in San Diego, held them to without a touchdown.
Okay.
Now they're going home to the Dome.
Yeah.
I think Seattle's defense, Rick Meyer and company, I like the Seahawks.
Right. Let's talk about jumping on a bandwagon. Here's all of Seattle now. They beat New England and Cincinnati the last 2 weeks, probably the two worst teams in the league. I know San Diego's offense is having problems. Only 2 touchdowns and 13 field goals so far. But I think the week off will really help the Chargers offense, and they're going to beat Seattle.
You know, Rich Kotite says that Cortez Kennedy's the best defensive tackle in the league. They got a terrific defense in Seattle, but this is Humphrey's time to get that San Diego offense on fire. I like San Diego.
Could be the kickers deciding this game, Carney and Casey, but I like the defense of San Diego. San Diego should win that one. Gary, we got the Raiders at Kansas City.
This game has a revenge motive here because it's Marcus Allen's first game against the Raiders. The last couple of years, he was not happy with the way the Raiders were using him. Kansas City's not scored a touchdown since the first week of the season. I think Joe Montana will get him going this week. The Chiefs will beat the Raiders.
I think the offense is hurting. They had for the Raiders. The Raiders have a great defense, but Zott's back in the offensive lineup for Kansas City. Play action passes will freeze the secondary of the Raiders. I like Kansas City.
Not to mention the fact that Jeff Hostetler is banged up for the Raiders. I like Kansas City too.
Well, defensively, Kansas City's doing an outstanding job. They will keep them in the game, and generally can throw away all these stats when this game comes along. But I like Kansas City. All right.
Nice. Wow.
Nick, tell me about Minnesota and San Francisco.
Minnesota's only scored 2 touchdowns all year long. This is sort of a scrimmage for San Francisco. They can do that in warm-ups. I like the 49ers. Their defense is just too strong.
And I like warm-ups. I like San Francisco, too. If they're going to have a warm-up, why not? I'll take them in this game.
Jim McMahon's really having a hard time getting things going. The Vikings have already changed their offensive coordinator. 49ers need to win this game to stay in the race in the West. I like them.
Well, they all need to win, but I like San Francisco because they're going to put a lot more points on the board. We've got New Orleans at the Rams.
Well, the Saints may be due for a letdown after that big win against San Francisco, but Jim Everett, he kind of plays every other week, and he played well last week, so he won't play well this week. That means I'll take the Saints.
I like that theory. Nobody's asking Chuck Knox this week who's going to start a quarterback, but it really doesn't matter. I think the Saints are too strong and they'll win this game.
I think the Saints are a team of destiny. Every year we have a team of destiny. This year it's the Saints. I like them.
Well, they've beaten them 6 times in a row. I think they'll make it 7. I like the Saints as well. All right, we've got the Giants at Buffalo. Should be a good game, Gary.
Good game.
Yeah, it's been since 1985 since Buffalo has lost home games on consecutive weekends. I think they're a little worked up this week, a little cranky because they lost to Miami at home last week. Giants will try to control the ball on them, but I like the Bills.
You know, Dan Reeves, when he coached Denver, really controlled the Buffalo offense. He knows how to defend them. There's only one difference. I'm not sure he has the same secondary that Denver had. Buffalo got trashed last week, really trashed. They have to have some pride. I like Buffalo at home.
Well, Andre Reed and Thurman Thomas both got banged up last week. Those guys, you have to have them in the Buffalo Bills offense to have a chance. I think the Bills are going to lose their second game in a row at home. I like the Giants.
Well, the Giants are #1 in defense in the National Football League, and they also lead in time of possession. But I like Buffalo at home because Nick picked Miami to lose last week. All right. We got Washington, Nick, at Miami. Tell me about Miami, because last week, what did you say about the Dolphins?
I said they had a terrible offense line and having any character. But I'll tell you, I don't know what team is going to show up. Tell me, Don, which one is it going to be? The team that likes to play or the team that doesn't want to play? Miami's playing at home. I think this was a true ball club that's going to win the AFC. I like the Miami Dolphins.
You have got to be
He jumped, didn't he?
Has he gone
on
full circle in a week?
Yeah.
If he's all over Miami, that means I like Washington. That's the best system I can come up with.
I think Miami's going to be one of those teams that takes a while for them to get going. They have so many new players this year because of free agency. I think it's going to take till mid-season until we really know all about the Dolphins. But Washington's just trying to hang on now until Mark Rippon comes back. I like Miami.
Well, I've been with this guy so long that I'm beginning to understand him. You understand?
That's scary if you understand.
I think, yeah, Miami showed me something. I had listened to Nick last week, but I'll go listen to him again this week. Miami will win that contest. Well, that's our show for this week. Remember, we premiere each Thursday evening at 11 p.m. If you miss any part of it, you can catch it again Friday at a special time of 6:30 because of the HBO's Lennox Lewis, Frank Bruno fight. And Saturday, we're back at our regular time at 11 a.m. Those times are Eastern and Pacific. Join us again next week, back up the Turnpike in our very plush New York studios.